Obedience have remembered Lai Mohamed. So guys, we know that Peter Obi had an interview session on Arise television. And you know, when he was asked about Lai Mohamed saying that he committed treason, Peter Obi quickly responded by saying that Lai Mohamed went to Washington and from there he moved to the United Kingdom, telling people that he committed treason, that the money that was used for those 2 trips are enough to set up some school blocks in some primary schools in his village. So guys, do you know what? The Obedience quickly went to Lai Mohammed's village, you know, and took some photograph pictures of the school structures. I mean the primary school structures in his village, and brought them on Twitter. Honestly, these politicians, they have to be careful with the Obedience, because they don't want to hear. As in, how dare Lai Mohamed, you know, use state fund? Look at, the federal government is going to increase tax for Nigerians to be paying. You will be paying the money, they will be using it. And he went to Washington just to go there for a press conference to tell them that Peter Obi committed treason. But you know, he just went there and spent taxpayers' money to go there for this. And you find out that these are leaders. They are so idle. I mean, they are idle. They don't have anything doing. And that's why, you know, he will just leave the country to go out there to make statements that do not even matter. Nigeria has so many challenges, and we don't just need all this cheap talk at the moment. We want people to come up with ideas that will change Nigeria. So guys, let me quickly read out this for you. Peter Obi said the money Lai Mohamed wasted in traveling to Washington to label him with treason is enough to build classrooms. It cost 440 million naira of taxpayers' money for Lai Mohamed to travel with 20 aides to discuss rubbish. Meanwhile, here is the state of schools in Lai Mohammed's state. APC, shame. Hi, my God. So guys, you can see it. The Obedience are out for these people. This is Kwara State. In case you don't know, Lai Mohamed is from Kwara State. So we all know that Peter Obi was on Arise television. He had an interview session. And when he was asked about being labeled with treason, you know, he quickly responded that the money that Lai Mohamed and his team used in traveling to Washington, D.C. and also to the United Kingdom, where they had press conferences and, you know, they came out to tell the world that he, Peter Obi, committed treason. He challenged them that the money they used for that trip is enough to set up some school blocks in the primary schools in their states. And you can see that the Obedience quickly went to Kwara State to capture some pictures of the state of the primary school buildings in that state. You can see it for yourself. This is the state of some of the schools in Kwara State. I mean, the home state of our Minister for Information, Lai Mohamed. Look at, this is what these people, they don't know that charity begins from home. They don't even know how to serve their people from their states before they come out to the federal. And you begin to wonder, what is going to be Buhari's legacy, honestly, after seeing all these things? What is going to be Buhari's legacy? These people have totally destroyed Nigeria. And do you know what? They will never accept that they've destroyed Nigeria. They will always come out to tell you that they are the best, that they've serviced Nigeria, that they've served Nigeria, that they've given their best to Nigeria, and won't keep wondering what has changed in Nigeria. Instead, things have gotten worse. Look at our security, look at our roads, look at so many things, despite the fact that this government borrowed so much. And you know, the incoming administration is going to inherit so much debt from this government. They've borrowed, and most of this money ended up in their individual pockets. They can't account for it. Look at the oil theft. Look at the oil theft bedeviling Nigeria. They don't have anything to say about it because they are the ones stealing it, and that's why they can't stop it. So guys, let me just allow you listen to when Peter Obi was asked about this treason of a thing. Just take a look at this.
Minister of Information Lai Mohamed recently called for your arrest, accusing you of treason. Do you see any links between your activities lately and any treasonable offences?
Charles is the height of rascality. height of rascality that it was even announced in Washington. I committed a treasonable offense, and I'm in Onitsha, and my minister went to announce it in Washington. This is what I'm talking about. We're not talking about waste in governance here. People don't want to understand. The amount it costs Nigeria for him to go and announce that in Washington can fix, I can tell you, I've been in government, can build a block of 6 classrooms in a primary school. I'm sure if you go to his village, there's so many places where children don't even have desk or classroom to go to school. And instead of using that money to go and do it, he used that money to go to Washington to announce of treason of somebody who is in Onitsha. He doesn't need to do that. It is rascality of the highest order. These are the reason why we want a new Nigeria where things will work the way it works in other clime. From there he went to London, announcing the same thing. Well, I'm in Nigeria. He should have come to see me or invite me and said this is the offense. How did we get here?
Yeah, that's a good question, but I'm afraid it will remain a rhetorical question at the moment. Some of your followers, just moving on from that, who are known as obedience, have recently engaged in a sort of caustic exchange of words with Professor Wale Soyinka, the Nobel laureate, and he said that they simply don't accept any form of criticism. And I think it was around the time when he made the comments about fascism and your deputy, Yusuf Baba Dati Ahmed. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, Charles Prof is a respected, revered personality in Nigeria and globally. And I've always respected him. And he's a dear father to me. And for me, I was very, very sad that there was such a change. Some of the obedience, I must tell you, or people they, mentioned that the obedience are not entirely people who are with us. The oppositions have also come into it and are using it at times.
You mean other opposition
Other
parties?
opposition parties.
Right.
But that is not to worry about. But I was very sad there was such a change between a respected father and but you have to understand this. These young people are people who have been so deprived by supposedly a system that is supposed to care for them. They've been pushed to the wall. Even me, Charles, the way they even react when I say things, but I could see their pain. I could feel it. Because I live in the same system, Charles, that they are living in. I said it in Enugu 2 days ago. I said, listen, I lived in this town. I went to JL in Enugu as a student, University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and paid 2,600 and something naira for a Volkswagen car. And within 2 years, Umano Motors in Nsukka sold a 505 to me at 2,700 naira, sorry, at 6,800 and something naira in the same country. I remember Ozumano telling me that they have too many orders from so many lecturers, so my own will be delayed. If you go and see people like Professor Wala, my lecturer then, they are driving new cars. It's some society where we lived, everything was working. All of a sudden, these young fellows now live in what you can consider a war situation. at times, you know, there's issues. I will make my own comment in it that Prof remains a revered father, and I'll keep respecting him for that. And of course, the young obedience, I feel for them. I wish we can see what they're saying. I wish we can feel what they're feeling. The pain, chance that go around these young people, there's nothing the society is offering them.
Well, it's not just the
even when they try to do it on their own.
Yeah.
This is a place where if you carry, today you are moving around with laptop, you are arrested and labeled all sorts of names. This is a place where people are thrown into jail for even making comments. These are places where people, all sorts of things are meted on these people. When people who have stolen billions of country's money, done worse things, are moving around, being celebrated, being used as an example to them.
Well, on the back of what you're telling us, today is, of course, Labor Day or Workers' Day, and Nigeria marks the day amid rising unemployment, which kind of relates to the people that you're talking about, because a lot of the people who are most affected by unemployment are young people, and many of them are part of the obedient movement. What is your message about that?
Well, Charles, what message can you give them? Which country of our size that you know today is going through what we're going? We have almost 40% unemployment and 65% youth unemployment. When you talk about 1.3 million people being grouped as multidimensional poor, huge percentage of these are young people in their productive age, doing nothing without knowing where the next meal will come from. And nobody cares about them. And that's what is happening everywhere. And again, if I try to say something, you will even see where I said, I will start fighting poverty from the north. And people say, oh no, he's insulting people from the north. Even when Nigerian Bureau of Statistics said that out of this 133 million people, 86 million is from the north. And I say that's where we have vast or cultivated land, and I believe that we can make more money from agriculture than we're making from oil. And the only way to put this people out of poverty is to invest in these resources and invest in them in everything. So for me, I feel for them.
So that's how you think we should start reducing unemployment, is it? Through agriculture as a first step, or what is your what are your thoughts on
you have
unemployment?
to move the country from consumption to production, and that you start the basic thing is agriculture, and you move it into manufacturing and into exports. The country is not doing anything. The country is not producing anything. The population is increasing. You're not doing anything. Just as a simple thing. And I can just give you a simple example. In 2012, we had about 162, 2011, we had about 162 million. Our export is about $130 billion. Today, 2021, we're already over 200 million. We're about 210 million. Our export was about 47 billion. So can you imagine, in 2011, we're about 130. In 2021, we're about 47. when our population moved from about 162 to 2010. In 2012, our export was about $145 billion. In 2020, as at that time, we were about 167 million in 2012. In 2022, we are now about 213 million. Our export last year, if I look at Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, is about 26.8 trillion, which if you convert it with 445 official rate, it's actually about 60 billion. So we couldn't even do half of where we are in 2012. What does it show? You're not doing anything. We have here an average container importation, just using container, not even using the containerized goods. We are now above 1 million. I think it's about, what I read last time, it's about 1.5 million approximately. Charles, several of these, up to 70 or 80%, go back empty. No other country. If you decide today that you have 1.5 million containers coming into Nigeria, and all of them must go back with some form of export, put it on average of about $20,000 per container going back with goods. That's $30 billion. So if, for example, 50% of this goes back empty, you lost $15 billion for a country that needs every dime.
That's a very interesting point.
So we need to do something.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you to stay with us because we have to take a short break, but we will be back. It'll give you a chance to have a sip of water. You're watching Arise Prime Time. 20 more still ahead as we continue our chat with the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi. Stay with us. Welcome back to Arise Prime Time, where we offer perspectives on the news and talking points of the day. I'm Charles Aniegolu. Now, the saga of Nigeria's 2023 presidential election was, for the opposition Labour Party and its leader Peter Obi, a tragic affront to democracy and the electoral earthquake that crumbled their hopes, shaking the faith they had that the election would be the turning point that would change the course of Nigeria. Well, the winter winds may be howling for them, but for the President-elect Bola Tinubu, his APC party and their supporters, it'll take more than that to dampen their spirits as Inauguration Day draws near. For them, it's a legitimate ballot that culminated in victory for Mr. Tinubu, never mind the fact that that victory is dogged by major national and international concerns about legitimacy and by the APC's legacy of expanding insecurity, growing poverty, rising unemployment, an inflation rate that has ballooned in the last few years, and a currency that has plunged in value, giving way to much harder times, especially for those on low incomes. So as the rival sides step up their preparations for the legal conflict ahead and the courts become the new front line of their quest for legitimacy amid all the other controversies that are swirling around the leading presidential candidates, where does Nigeria's hottest political issue go from here? And the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, is still with me in the studio. Thank you very much indeed for staying with us.
Thank you for having me, Charles.
Now let's turn to the President-elect Bola Tinubu, whom, from what I read, you recently visited or were shown on social media to have visited. That suggests that you're making reconciliation moves. What are the reasons for that, and what would you say to your followers, the obedience, who might, in a sense, feel betrayed by that move, if it did in fact happen?
Charles, it did not happen. I've never visited him. I didn't. You know, these are one of the things I'm telling you. They've turned the whole thing into a joke. So what it is now is, what are we going to do to crush this person? What are we going to do to label him this? If it is not to label him tribal bigot, religious bigot, if it's not sticking, maybe we'll find his family, maybe have a love child somewhere, maybe all sorts of things. You know, duplicated identity, everything. Because I've been to the UK about 3 times this year, you know, this issue. So it's all about, oh, let's go to Washington and announce to them that is treason, that is involved in this, involved in that. Charles, I did not visit anybody.
Okay, well, that's a clarification.
So my followers are saying, will remain steadfast in the cause we've chosen. And that is to do the right thing. We went into election with a strong faith in the law that was signed by Mr. President, with a strong faith in the statements of Professor Mahmoud, which was said globally, said it in Washington, he said it in Chatham House, in places where even other electoral bodies don't come to say anything. He said it all over Nigeria. Even when people doubted it, he said nobody should doubt it. It's going to be this real time. Why do we have to go through that? Just why do we have to? Why is this country built that things must be wasted?
So why do you think he said those things and did something else?
We spent nearly $1 billion for this mess. We could have just saved the money. After all, if the university striking lecturers were giving 400 billion, there wouldn't have been no strike. We would have just asked Mr. President, you're going, please appoint somebody of your choice. You would have saved everybody, the parties that were running around, all those monies people use for campaign and everything, running around, even those who shared money for their primaries, they would have saved all that money, even for the forms, and use it to invest in the 2 critical areas that is keeping this country underdeveloped: education and health. If we have put 100 billion in primary health care that have just collapsed, and we have the highest infant mortality, surpassing India, that is 1.4 billion people. Nigeria have surpassed India in infant mortality. If we had put 100 billion naira on that, it would have made all the difference. We didn't.
So guys, you can see that our politicians do no longer have any hiding place. As in, they can't hide because the obedience are ready to trace them even to their bedroom. Honestly, you don't just come out and be so careless about the statements you make, and you just say things and you expect that you go scot-free. No, he said Peter Obi committed treason, and Peter Obi came out to ask him, Mr. Man, I'm in Onitsha, in the same Nigeria where you live. Then you travel to Washington and also to the United States to announce the so-called purported crime that you say I committed. Peter Obi was in Onitsha, and our minister left Nigeria to go out to make this announcement. These are just taxpayers' money, you know, being wasted, and that is what this government specializes on. They don't even have ideas on how to fix Nigeria. Look at every sector is falling apart in Nigeria because we don't have creative minds. We don't have people that will come up with solutions to the problems facing Nigeria. All the problems that Buhari met on ground, they've worsened instead of being solved, as in they've worsened. And, you know, now they said they want to hand over to Tinubu. Tinubu that is not feeling well, how will he be able to meet up with the challenges in Nigeria? And that is why we all are calling on the judiciary. Peter Obi said he's not challenging any other thing if not the process. Yeah, even if you say you win, good and fine, let's check out the process. So we are looking up to the judiciary. We are just waiting that you know, they handle this matter carefully and render justice to this case, because for all we know, Peter Obi won this election. Peter Obi won. It is very, very clear that Peter Obi got the highest vote. Even if Peter Obi did not actually won in some of the states in the north, Peter Obi was able to get 25% in most of the states. And you know, in the southern states, there are places Peter Obi won almost 100%. That alone has given him a good edge over his competitors. So guys, we are just waiting for the judiciary to begin their hearing, and no doubt justice will be served and we'll regain our mandate. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, turn on the notification bell. Please give this video a like so that YouTube can recommend it to others, and let me know what you think in the comment section below. Thank you.